All right. So today we're going to talk a little bit about rates. Now, a rate is a type of ratio, and that's why we looked at ratios last time. But all we did with ratios was simply be able to create a ratio and then simplify a ratio, right? And simplify a ratio is just a fraction, right? So, a rate is, again, a ratio, and it's always written as a fraction, all right? And you can generally tell that something is a rate when you see the phrase per, or you might see for a, for or per. So you've heard of the rates before. You know these kilometers. Kilometers per hour is a rate because it's a measurement of how fast you're going for each hour. Okay? And we're going to focus on rates that involve costs. Think about, you obviously don't work, but if you did, you know that many people work for a certain amount per hour, right? So you make a certain amount per hour, that's a rate. And so you can have the money over hours, right? So the amount of money over hours. Yes? Okay, don't worry about that. It's not what we're worried about. Okay? So right now we're concentrating on rates. All right. So when you're working with rates, what's important is that you always put in the units. Okay? So that you know that you have the rate in the proper order. So, for example, if we're doing dollars per hour, that would be the number of dollars you get over the number of hours. And if the denominator is 1, this is called a unit rate. And you're not going to have to worry about simplifying these. The ones that I'm going to give you are all unit rates. So I'm going to write down some rates, and I want you to tell me, is it a unit rate or not? Okay? Now, if it's not, you could simplify it and make it one, but I'm not going to make you do that. So here we go. I'm going to look at some rates. If the denominator is 1, this is called a unit rate. Okay? All right. Now, you'll still have a unit. You'll still have some measurement, so it's 1 hour. 1 whatever. Okay? So let's say we have $35 over 1 hour. Would I even have the 1 there if it was $35 over 1 hour? No. You remember, if it's an hour, you would just say per hour. So is this an example of a unit rate?
Yes.
Yes. This is a unit rate. Okay. Now, they don't have to be money, but most of the ones we're going to deal with are going to be money. But they could be other things as well. Okay. We could have, let's see. Try to give you good ones. We could have something. Pardon?
What's the stuff before the 35?
It's a dollar sign. The stuff.
It looks like
Stop it. Okay. So, all right. So, we could also have other rates, right? We looked at other rates. They can be any comparison. And it's a unit rate as long as the thing in the bottom is a 1. So, say, for example, we were doing miles per gallon. If you have 5 miles per gallon.
What's a gallon?
It's just a unit. Okay.
Oh, a liter.
Okay. Or how about this? 5 kilometers per liter. Sorry. Forget where I am. Okay? So let's do this. Let's just go ahead and do liters. So 5 kilometers per liter. Is this a unit rate?
Yeah.
And how can you tell that it's a unit rate? Because it's 1 liter in the bottom, right? What if it was 2 liters in the bottom? Is it a unit rate now? No. All right? So really simple idea. In order to be a unit rate, it needs to have a what at the bottom? A 1. Now, what if I had 10 kilometers for 2 liters? Is that a unit rate? No. But what's wrong with that fraction 10 over 2? You can simplify it, right? 10 and 2 will both divide by what? Well, 2, and you're going to get a 5, right? 10 divided by 2 is 5 kilometers. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that's 1 liter, so you just write liter. So now is it a unit rate? Yes. So you can simplify a rate and turn it into a unit rate. Again, you're not going to have to, but the exercises I find might include that, so I just want to make sure you're aware of it. Yes?
If you wrote 1 liter, would
It wouldn't technically be wrong, no. But, yeah, I would never count it wrong if you wrote 1 liter. Okay?
But it would be better to...
Better just to write, right. Well, I'm going to say this because if you're doing the math, like if you're multiplying or dividing or working with them, then many times putting the 1 in makes it easier for you, right?
Also, during these tests, we should enter some bit of
Absolutely. Yep, and remember, you're not going to have any calculators, so yes, you need to show every bit of your working. Okay? Show your work. All right? Okay. Now this would be enough work for that one because you could do that in your head. You don't have to show that you divided by 2.
Oh, so you don't have to show that?
Well, no. So you could do this would be enough to show, but you do have to show that what it was and what it is, right? So you don't have to show that what you divided by.
If you put that on your test, simplify it, would you get more working out the credit sort of thing? If you show
Okay, hold on just one moment. So, on these tests, the way these assessments are judged, are graded, it's a holistic judgment. In other words, does it look like you know what you're doing, but you made several small errors? You could still get a high grade, right? So if you can show what the idea is, even if you make an arithmetic error, then you're likely to get a high grade. But if you don't show any working and you get the wrong answer, then it's just wrong, right? So you judge for yourself what you want to do. Hold on just a second. Yes.
So are we basically getting judged on our working? So if we do the working completely right but we get the answer wrong, it's more marked on our...
You'll still get a better grade. Okay. So let's just look at a few examples. Let's say that Amy makes $10.
Can we write this down?
Yes, you do. If I write it down, then that means it's important enough for you to write it down. Per hour.
Oh, wow. That's way below.
How much?
Amy.
Amy makes $10 per hour. How much would she earn in 8 hours? Okay? Now, I know, but you need to write it out as a rate, though. I understand that. So, first of all, this part is her rate of pay. It gives the amount that she makes and how many units she does it, right? So write that out. How would that look as a rate, as a ratio? It would be $10 over what? No. Yes, 1 hour. There you go. It's $10 per hour. So that's the rate. Now, yeah. And so, do I need the 1? No. Is it wrong if you put it? No. Okay? Now, And then we have another piece of information. It tells us she's working for how long? 8 hours. Well, 8 is a multiple, right? So what we're going to do is just take that times 8 hours. Okay? Now, notice that I put the units in as we work, and I want to see these units when you're doing it. It's not 10 over 1 times 8. It's $10 over 1 what? Hour times what? 8 hours. Okay? No. I'm just showing you where I'm getting these numbers. Yes?
Would you get downgraded if you don't put the dollar sign into the hours?
I would be very irritated. And an irritated grader, it's not a good thing. Someone who's grading your tests and is irritated by the fact that you wouldn't do the simplest idea, yeah, that would bother you. Now, this is just multiplying two fractions, right? And we've talked about multiplying fractions. Before you multiply, you always simplify any numerator to any what?
Denominator.
Does it matter which fraction it comes from? No. Well, 10 and 1 don't have anything in common. 10 and 1 here don't have anything in common. 8 and 1 don't, and 8 and 1 don't. But what is common to one of the numerators and one of the denominators? It's not a number. Hours, right? It's the units, right? So what can happen is, even though it's a unit, those two things are the same. So what happens to things that are the same? They will divide away. Because when you're paid if you're paid, do they write you a check in dollars per hour? No. The hours are going to go away, and all that's left is what units? The dollars. And that's why it's important to write the units, so that you see this idea. And then, of course, it's just 10 times 8, which is 80. In the bottom, it's 1 times 1, which is 1. Do I need anything over 1? No. So we can just ignore that. And so the total rate is $80. But if you don't have those units on there, it's wrong. Yes?
When you wrote it $10 over like an hour times, when you had the 8 hours on the bottom, and then when you have like $80 on the top, and then wrote equals 80.
Well, all I did was just multiply straight across, right?
Yeah, so but wouldn't the 8 hours be on the bottom of the line?
No. Because 8 hours is 8 hours. So that's 8 hours over 1, right? If it doesn't look like a fraction, then that means it's not in the bottom, it's in the top, right? So if I just told you 25 cats, that's not 1/25 of a cat, right? So it's not in the bottom, it's always where?
I would hope we're not cutting
In
out
the top.
cats.
Okay?
Cats are amazing. Go ahead.
Shh.
Don't you have the hour sign underneath where the one is? Do you have the hour sign?
Well, in the unit, it's $10 per hour. So that's a fraction, $10 over 1 hour.
Yeah, but you know the 8 is under 8 hours, and you like cross out the hour sign, but underneath there's a 1. Would you write the hour sign there?
No, because it's not 8 hours per hour. It's just 8 hours, period. Right? So it's just 8 hours. I just put the 1 to make it look like a fraction. You don't even need the 1. Hannah, the question was... No, just 10 times 8. Yeah, so the 1 times 1 in the bottom just turned into a 1. Yes, Anna? Yes, okay, who else had a question over there? No, there will not be any going with. All right, so let's look at some more. All right. It doesn't always have to be money. It can be anything that you're finding units for. All right, so let's say that we have, I don't know, candy costs $6 per bag. Okay? Or actually, let's not even use per. Let's just say for a bag. For, per mean the same thing. Okay? But I just want to make you see all the wording that you might see. All right? How much would 7 bags cost?
Do you want us to work this out?
Okay? Yes. So first,
I can't open the door.
okay, can you go with her? But then come immediately back, please. Candy costs $6 for a bag. How much would 7 bags cost? So, first of all, we need to get our unit rate. And we're going to get that right there. So write down a unit rate for me. What's it going to be? So write it down. Oh, hold on a second. Okay. Exactly. Okay, everybody got it? So what'd you write? 6 what? Dollars over bag. And you can put 1 bag if it makes you happy. Put the 1 bag if it makes more sense to you, right? Per bag. It's perfectly fine. Now, would you put 1 bag as your answer? It'd be okay. But, yeah. All right. Now, how many bags do we want? 7. So that's multiplied times 7 bags. Right? So, that's 7 over what? 7 bags over what?
1.
To make it look like a fraction. Do you have to put it over 1 and make it look like a fraction? No. If you're comfortable with it, you don't have to. I just want to make sure everybody sees that in reality, what we're doing is multiplying a fraction times another fraction. So what's going to happen to anything that's the same in the numerator and denominator? It's going to divide away. Does it have to be only a number? No. The same thing can happen with units, right? What units do I have that are the same in the top and the bottom? Bag or bags, right. So those are going to go away. And then I just multiply how? Straight across. So 6. So dollars times nothing is dollars. 6 times 7 is 42. In the bottom, it's 1 times 1, which is 1. Do I need that? No. So how much is 7 bags of candy going to cost? $42. And if you didn't have that dollar symbol right there, then it means nothing, and your answer is completely wrong. Okay? Because you don't buy candy with 42s. You buy candy with money. So it better be there with money, right?
If you don't write the dollar symbol, can you just write the dollars?
Yes, you could write $42 if you wanted to, but I mean, it's easier to just do the symbol.
Yeah.
Yes. Pardon me? Guys, when you're going to be comparing rates, when you have different units. So we can't compare rates if the units are different. For example, if one of them is given in milliliters and the other, now again, this is just a comparison. This is not the math because the unit rates don't stay the same. But say one thing, we're measuring one thing in milliliters and the other in liters. Can we do that?
Yes.
Can we compare them? No. You must. All right. So to compare costs, let's just say cost in this case. Okay? To compare cost. If one is given in milliliters and the other's in liters, you must convert to 1 unit. Now, and sometimes it makes sense to do it one way, sometimes it makes sense to do it another way. For example, if you have it in liters, you can convert it into liters, right? But what's that going? But So that's going to make the numbers bigger, right? You're going to have more of them, so you're going to have a multiplier. To convert the other way, what would you do? You're going from big units to smaller units, you'd have to divide. Most people are more comfortable making the other number bigger. Okay? So, let's look at a couple of examples. Oh, come on, you guys. Okay, so you just convert the units. All right? Now, so let's just look at a quick example here. Say I have 500 milliliters and I have 1 liter. Okay?
Times the milliliters by 2.
Right, because how many milliliters makes 1 liter? 1,000, right? And if we do this to you on the assessment, we'll tell you those numbers just so you don't even have to memorize them. How nice are we? So I can turn this milliliters into, don't put that fraction, it's not a fraction bar. This milliliters into liters by multiplying it by what? 2, which gives you 1,000 milliliters,
Also known as 1 liter.
which is 1 liter, right? So you can turn milliliters into liters by simply multiplying to get it to be 1,000, right? But remember, these are going to be costs. So, or units or rates. So that means it's going to be written as not as a whole number, but as what's a rate written as? As a fraction. And if I multiply the bottom by 2, that's fine. Guys, I'm losing you. If I multiply the bottom by 2, that's fine, but what else do I have to multiply by 2? The top. So let's say I had $2 for 500 milliliters. And I wanted to change that to liters. Well, in order to change 500 milliliters into liters, I have to multiply it by what number? 2. So that times 2. And if I multiply the bottom times 2, that's fine, as long as I also what?
Multiply the top.
Multiply the top times 2. I forgot you don't like the dot. So, what is $2 times 2? $4. And 500 milliliters times 2 is 1 liter. And look, 1 liter is a unit rate, right? Okay? So, and again, the only time you'd have to do that is if you're comparing costs, right? If you're going to compare the cost of one item to another, then the units have to be the same. Okay? Yes?
So we have to do every
Anything you do to the bottom, or you have to do exactly the same thing to the top, right? Okay?
How do you guys go for 500 milliliters divided by 100?
What now?
Divide it by 100. And then make 0.5 liters.
Yes, you could change liters into milliliters, but that means dividing, which is going to give you decimals. And would you rather work with whole numbers or decimals?
Whole numbers.
You betcha. Okay, so your units have to be the same, right? Okay, now, so it's the part that you're measuring over the whole, right, times 100%. And again, you're not even going to be asked to do the math because these numbers are going to be ugly and you don't have a calculator. Okay, but you could, but you need to be able to describe it. Okay, now, we need to think of some things, though, that make sense as parts and wholes. Okay? So, if I ask you to compare some items, right? Say we have, the number of dogs to the number of pets in New Zealand. Okay? Which one of those would be the part? I don't have cats up here. Which one of those would be the part? The dogs. So that would be the number of dogs over what? The number of pets. And if I want to turn it into a percentage, it would be times what? 100%. Thank you for that percent. How easy is that?
Very easy.
Okay? Now, let's say, that your grandma gave you $10 for your birthday, but you got $150 total for your birthday. Which one's the part and which one's the whole? Right. The amount your grandma gave you is that $10 is the part, her $10, and the whole is
150.
the total you got, which is $150. Okay? And to turn it into a percent, times what? 100%. Okay? So all you have to do is decide on which thing is the percent and which one's the whole. Okay? Now, here's one. I'm going to take it a little further. You got the rest of the money from your parents. So how much did your parents give you then? Right. So if you got the rest from your parents, then you would take the 150 minus how much your grandmother gave you, and that will give you the rest. Now what would be the percent for parents then?
90%.
Yeah, it'd be parents gave you $140, right? So just give it to me as a fraction. Over the total, 150 times 100%. So you may not be given the part, you might be given something else, other information, right? So let's say, for example, guys, hold on a minute, just packing up already. All right, so let's say that you made $500, right, at a car wash. But you had to pay, guys, listen to me, but you had to pay the car wash company $100 for using their facilities. So how much did you make out of that $500? 400 out of how much? 500. And to turn it into a percent, it would just be times what? 100. So think about what the part is and then over the total or the whole. Okay?
I didn't get one of these shirts last week.
Okay.
I mean, yesterday.
It's on your OneNote. So it's on your OneNote and you can just print it out. Now, if you've got your thing, if you printed it out, that's fine. If you did it on OneNote, that's fine. I'll look at them, but if you do have it printed out, then just turn it in. Oh, only the D section.
I've checked with some other people and I know two of them were at least
Okay.
two of them are wrong.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all right. So, yes, you may. It's time to go, so you can just take your things if you want.
I did it
In my book, so do you want me to just photocopy it and give it to you?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. You had the answers anyway, so you were able to check your own work, right? Thank you so much. And good luck in the swimming tomorrow. She does? Yeah. Thank you, ladies. I'll see you tomorrow. 6th period. That was just so much fun for me.